Okay. Time to rip the confessional band-aid. I have never watched Akira in its entirety until now. Yeah, sue me. Drag me out in the streets and call me a fake anime whiny baby fan. See, look, at the ripe old age of 16 when my anime knowledge was young and people were still buying DVDs of 3 episodes of Full Metal Alchemist up hop, I couldn't care less about the awe-inspiring, generation-defining, and Kanye-imitating marvel that was Akira. Now, I could have watched it at a friend's house, or I could have gotten motivated to watch it earlier from all the fanfare and numerous articles. But I didn't, because I was lazy. Well, good news for you, Akira, for at the time of writing, my room is still being remodeled, and I still have a lot of extra free time on my hands. I don't know when I'll ever get a chance to experience such a popular movie blind, so today is your lucky day. Now let's finally take a gander at a movie that everyone and their cows are raving about. I bet it's just another hype-fested piece of line work in which I'll never comprehend, all for the sake of art. Whoa. Hold up. Hold a flipping minute here. That was a story about what? Drawn like that? And for 2 hours? It didn't feel like a 2-hour movie. That felt like a dream, man. A really lucid dream. Tick-tock, my mushy brain. We've had our watch, so now it's time to crudely put some thoughts together on the always online, always responsive Microsoft Word app, which needs to be disconnected for the umpteenth time. Oh my god! First order of business. We gotta talk about the important details after all. Why? Just why in the blazes does everyone reference the motorcycle scene if it has no real importance in the film? Sure, it looks pretty and beautifully animated. The entire movie is. You can see the literal blood, sweat, and passion encoded into every cel-shaded pixel. But people please. Don't tell me this iconic shot was referenced because it only takes place around the beginning of the movie in order to avoid spoilers. At least, that's how I'm opinionating the only other reason besides his animated prowess. Like, freeze frame right here. You see that? 6 minutes, 19 seconds, when Red Jacket Kid was fighting the clown's motorcycle gang, doing cling-clangin', bike fighting and stuff, and this scene is led by a quick game of bike chicken. That's it. That's all. Well, thinking on it now, I guess Red Jacket Kid's turf war was a good way to color his personality, and the city landscape was cool to see driven through. Okay, maybe they did it because it was cool, and you know what? That's okay, I guess. Paying homage to a scene that admittedly does look badass and easy to implement for the sake of badassery is no harm, no foul. I understand. Though, dang it still feels arrogant to me for some reason. Even I can't explain it other than my previous misconceptions of the movie starting to crumble and fade into the ether. I mean, can you blame me? Some people were hyping this movie up like it was the second coming of Christ, with absolutely no flaws, when clearly that's not the case. Take my next point, for example, and granted, I could just be scatterbrained and just don't get it, but it still needs to be laid out on the floor now. I do not understand what in the world the characters were doing in this movie, aside from Red Jacket Kid and his gang of misfits. They were a simple street gang fighting for their turf in a rundown city of overindulgence with an education system that is not too often the extreme from some of the worst in America at that. This movie does take place in 2019 after all. Kids get caught up in super sci-fi shenanigans, and Red Jacket Kid spends the rest of the movie trying to get to the bottom of said shenanigans, all while chasing some sweet anime 80s booty. Pretty simple. I had no problems with this stuff in the movie whatsoever. It's the adults I had an amazingly confusing time figuring out. Without trying to spoil too much of the movie, it felt like a classic government versus anti-government plot where the man does morally questionable stuff to some people and other people find out, so they want to stick it to them. But then it gets all muddy with executive tables of bigwigs wanting to have their cake and eat it too with the morally questionable stuff. One of those bigwigs is a guy who looks like Zangief from Street Fighter, just with a shirt, and is either trying to prevent another disaster to befall as a result of the bigwig's misdoings, or trying to keep things under control long enough to keep some semblance of power, because man, he looked like he really wanted to deck some folks in. Officer Dude Man here was my main confusing point in the entire plot of the movie, as I couldn't understand his motives at all. Like, he doesn't care about this city because he thinks it's overindulgent and gone down the drain, so whatever, destruction happens is no shirt off his bones. Then he acts as a direct underling to the kind of bigwigs, trying to make sure the Einstein professor man doesn't just let things happen for the sake of science. But then he turns around and tries to prevent that disaster with his army with the goal of recapturing their target for research science purposes. Again, all while acting like the bigwigs have no idea what they're doing. Well, you don't have any idea what you're doing, General Zangief, because to me, you're no better trying to stop the incident as a soldier's duty. But just like your higher-ups, wants to see if you can still salvage things despite all the death and carnage up to this point. Maybe people are seeing his involvement in the film more concrete than I, but personally, I found this to be very contradicting at times. I also had trouble about the Esper kids that helped move the major mystery of who or what Akira was, but after digesting the movie for a bit, I think I understand their personal motives in the film, but only after I removed the confusing human evolution amoeba talk. Even up till the last moments of this film, I felt that all the deep sci-fi jargon was a bunch of nardy brain baloney, only there to serve the purpose of acting smart. And all I wanted to do was see some explosions. Okay. Now, I really wish I saw this movie in 4K. I'm gonna be that person. I'm normally not a graphics gopher, as I did initially scoff at the 4K showings of Akira offered in theaters not too long ago. Oh, you guys want to be on your high horses now and tell the world how you saw the movie in Ultra 4K and laugh at the poor plebs who missed such an outing. Get out of here. Man, I really had something up my butt about this movie, didn't I? Look, I'm not the best at talking about the animation quality of media. I don't understand the terminology needed to educate on the topic, nor do I care to. But I think at the end of the day, people have the right to say, this thing right here, slaps some stuff. That's all I'm going to say about the animation. One more thing on my mind that I gotta let out is how I still cannot believe I watched this movie completely blind. Level with me here, because this is important to me. You see a popular anime that everyone has been squawking about for years, but at the time of the hype, it just wasn't on your radar. Or alternatively, you just got into anime where the big thing people won't shut up about is decades old, so you either wait to see where your taste in anime lie. Hey, not everyone could or wants to jump onto the latest trends right then and there. Fast forward to years later where you as a fan have more experience and knowledge on your taste, where in that same time frame more content comes out for that anime. Oh, I don't know, like a train or something. What do you do now? Well, let Misfit tell you what you're gonna do. You watch it when you wanna watch it. That's what you do. Just because the latest Shonen series comes out with a wacky razor commercial doesn't mean every plain Jane's gotta suddenly glue their eyeballs to the thing. That was my relationship with Akira. Luckily, anime movies are easy to avoid spoilers for, even with all the articles made about them, because it's a movie. If you can clean your Tuesday dinner out of your knickers in 2 hours, you can certainly sit down for that long to keep your attention entertained. So I waited, and waited, and then procrastinated until I was forced to pass a time when my room was being remodeled to sit down and take a look at this movie. Now I can say I'm glad I did. Watching Akira blind rekindled why I like watching anime in the first place. You get lots of dopey, trippy scenes you wouldn't get in other forms of media. Regardless if I understand them or not, it was a whimsical time, sometimes nerve-wracking, but all in all, a fulfilling reminder of anime I potentially haven't watched yet. At least, in the end, I can temporarily relate to why people don't watch anime analysis videos with spoilers in them. And yet, when you're an AniTuber trying to please viewers who want to watch anime analysis for shows they already watched and yet don't want spoilers for, is a paradoxical construct that I love breaking with every piece of content I make. Make up your mind, people. Misfit out!
Consome, consome, consomeパンチポンチじゃないよコンソメパンチうまさが効いてるコンソメパンチコンソメ、コンソメ、コンソメパンチコンソメ、コンソメ、コンソメパンチ